We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully your day is going well. By the time you hear this, it is Tuesday, but I'm recording it Monday night on a Substack Live. Now, originally I started out trying to do it on Instagram just to see what happens. I'd never done a live on Instagram, and frankly, it didn't go well. It did not go well. It shut down automatically over after a short period of time. It kept frozen up. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm gonna go back to Substack because I know those people. It always works perfectly fine, and I'm gonna stick with that. So I got a lot of people joining in, and I just want to remind you that your participation is absolutely crucial to the success of this or any other live that I might do. Sitting here talking to myself is not entertaining in the least, especially not to me. So I need your input. Katrinka says, "Hey, Mike. Hey, Katrinka. How you doing? I see Epi Flores out there. Epi's been on the podcast. Spacer's out there. That's one thing about Substack. I see a lot of names that are familiar, and they'll crop in up in other places as well. TJ the plumber, Donnie's dementia is showing more every day. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, TJ. You know, it's funny. He was when he was trying to talk about this war, he's trying to make it sound like everything's going well and everything's going as planned. He said he talked to a former president that agreed with him that he's doing all the right things. So somebody said, you didn't talk to George W. Bush, did you?" And he said, "No, I didn't talk to George W. Bush." And then he said, "Well, Bill Clinton?" He said, "I don't want to talk about it." So it was either Bill Clinton, and then Bill Clinton comes out. Um, uh, Bill Clinton comes out and says, "Yeah, I never talked to him, so that didn't happen." So that only leaves Biden and Obama, and I don't think Trump talked to Biden or Obama. Donnie's just flat out lying. Everything comes out of his mouth is lying. Um, let's see here. I've got some Mike Z, the Z Man, who I hear from a lot with the podcast. Emails and such. Okay, Spacer says, I noticed how again we're seeing this again. APAC was so determined to diminish and destroy Kat Abagazala, like you and Will said on the podcast, but they only made her more stronger with the exposure they gave from her trying to destroy her. Yeah, you know, Kat Abagazala, I didn't know much about her in one of the previous lives. People told me she's the real deal. You should check her out. So I checked her out. Had no idea she was this young girl, 26 years old. She could be my kid. But man, she's sharp. She's really, really sharp. I hope she wins this primary because she's the epitome of the kind of candidate the Democrats need. Somebody young, somebody that's willing to get in your face, that's progressive, that's smart and articulate, and isn't afraid to fight back. And that's exactly who she is. Um, Vincent Johnny says some of the white South Africans that came to America want to return to South Africa. Not surprised. Not a great place to be here now anymore. You know, Donald Trump always claims, well, we shut down the border. You didn't shut down the border. People just don't want to come to the shithole anymore because you made it such a fucking police state. It's not a safe place to be, especially if you're an immigrant. Katrinka says, I wish I could vote for her, Kat. She's not in my district, but I hope she wins. Yeah, I'd love to vote for her. I kind of reached out to her and I said, hey, if you ever want to be on the podcast, please just let me know. I'll be happy to put you on the podcast. I can't guarantee that of how many people I have in your district, but maybe we can help you with fundraising or something like that. So I got my fingers crossed. Hope she wins tomorrow or today. If you're listening to the podcast, it's Tuesday when the primary is. Hope she wins. It'll make it more interesting. TJ the plumber says now they want migrants back on visa because the farmers are fucked. I saw that. I heard Donald Trump is now trying to work a deal out to get migrants back because the farmers need the migrants. Isn't that ironic? Spent all this time complaining and whining about immigrants, and now you finally realize that by doing that, you fuck over the very people that voted for you, the farmers. You got to bail them out. You got to do all this shit. It's ridiculous. It's just the stupidity is just. Put it this way: if my kids, when they were little, if they acted that stupid, I'd lock them in a closet because it would be embarrassing. Um, Spacer says she spent her career studying the pressure points of the far right movements and knows how to take these people down. I also recommend looking into Psychrat Charabarty, who is running to replace Nancy Pelosi. He could be a Zoran of the San Francisco area. This is exactly what we need. We need young people stepping up. We need people running for office. There's a lot of sharp young people out there, and if we can get that, I think we're going to be in a better place. And the reason I hope they do that is because you don't need old white people like me deciding what your destiny is, what your future is, because we'll be long dead and you're going to have to live with that shit. So you might as well make your own decisions. Anne Marie says, following you from Australia. Wow, what a nightmare you and we are living through. Isn't that the fucking truth? I mean, well, it is surreal. You know, you see things that happen in my many years of being alive. I've seen some pretty fucked up things, but they always seem to come to an end or a resolution or something. But this just goes on, fucking on and on. He starts a war, and the Republicans sit there with a thumb up their ass, not doing a thing. Previous Republican parties, had they been in this situation, would have probably stepped up and said, "Listen, dude, you need to settle the fuck down a little bit." But not these clowns. They let him go and do whatever the fuck he wants. It's just, it's just unbelievable. Um, Z-Man says Trump, his cabinet members, and his followers sound like drunks talking in an old man dive bar on Queens Boulevard in Queens. That's exactly right. You know, I've said that before. You know, when you hear Donald Trump talk, it sounds like the drunk guy in your local bar that always was espousing about politics but didn't know fuck all about fuck all. And that's who Donald Trump is, because he doesn't know fuck all about fuck all. Look, he starts this war. I mean, he changes up in the same speech. He starts this war. He tells everybody we're winning. They're going to surrender. Says they're definitely set to surrender. I'm just not willing to accept it yet. So Iran comes out and said, "Yeah, we're not going to surrender. No ceasefire. Fuck you, Donnie." So then Donald Trump, in spite of the fact that he says he beat them and destroyed them, he's got a problem with the Strait of Hormuz. Nobody can get through there. That's causing problems with the oil market. 20% of all oil goes through the Straits of Hormuz. So Donald Trump wants to stop that, but he can't do it on his own. He can't, for some reason, he can't pull it off. So he reaches out to our allies. And when I say allies, I use that term loosely because I don't think we have any fucking allies after Donald Trump got done. But he's saying, you guys got to help us. You count on this more oil more than we do. He even said this. He said, you should be helping us open the Strait of Hormuz because you need the more oil more than we do. He says, I don't even think we should be here, which is ironic. He put us there, that dumb fuck. So he's reaching out to all these other countries saying you need to help us. And they're going, you know what, we're good. We don't want to get involved. So then Donald Trump ramps it up and says, well, if you don't help us out, it's not going to be good in the future for NATO. Oh, what are you going to do, Donnie? What are you going to do that's worse than what you've already done? So Donnie's kind of in a pickle here. The Strait of Hormuz things is a problem for him because you shut down the oil travel through there, prices go through the roof, and he's the only one to blame. So so Donnie first says he's going to send um, escort military boats to get him through, which was a dumb idea. I mean, you're going through the Straits of Hormuz, like putting a target on military boats. Apparently, somebody got to him and said, "Hey, Donnie, that's a dumb fucking idea. We're not doing that." And so then he told the people, don't worry about Strait of Hormuz. It's clear. Just go through there. Yeah, they may shoot at you, but don't be pussy. I'll just go through that. It's, I mean, if I sat down and talked to somebody in a business situation or a relative, you just ha- you, you'd laugh at them because it's just so silly. Vincent Johnny says the next Democratic administration has a long time to fix the problems the Trump administration has caused, from the economy to religious zealots in the military. Yeah, that's the other thing that's weird. The whole religion part of this. I hope that um, when this is all over, the Republicans are going to get taken down. There's no question about it. But then I hope the religious community, the evangelicals anyway, and the uh, Christian nationals and the white supremacists, they are exposed for who they are, and they get their comeuppance when this is all said and done. Spacer says, I watched the Oscars last night. Hold on. Um, what the hell? Okay, I watched the Oscars last night. I appreciate the people like Kimmel and Conan making jokes and taking down Donald Trump, but it's sad that it's only people who do satirical content rather than the media, who we thought we could count on years ago. The media's absolute failure. Um, yeah, you're absolutely right. And part of the reason we're in this situation is the media. When they saw Donald Trump come up, they knew he was a fool. They knew he was a pathological liar, but he was good TV. So they set that aside. They don't care about that. And they let him get away with whatever he wants because it's good TV. They make money. They get viewers. Problem is, it creates the division and all the problems in this country. The media really needs to, we need to address that. But I think that's going to happen naturally. The young people who are taking the reins here, the millennials, Gen Zs, they don't watch network television. They don't watch streaming news. So all these people spending billions of dollars buying these outlets, it'll probably be for naught because as we old people die off, nobody's going to watch their shit anymore. They'll be watching everything on YouTube. Um, the Trump agenda is getting comical now. It's serious, but still comical to laugh at him and the people around him spinning lie after lie. They can't even keep their lives and stories straight. Yes. They can't keep it straight amongst themselves. You ask somebody why they went into Iran and what their strategy is. Nobody come either they don't have an answer or they can't come up with the same answer somebody else came up with. So it's pretty crazy. Michael Toll said DJT seems to be at his wit's end. I saw an image of him getting off Marine One with a red hat in hand and a necktie undone hanging down. He looks exhausted. When he's cornered like this, watch out. You're absolutely right. You get a narcissist like this. They're used to bullying. They're used to pushing people around, scaring people, and watching them bend down and let them do whatever they're going to do. That's not happening anymore. And when a narcissist gets cornered, you're absolutely right. That's when it gets the most dangerous because they'll do anything, they'll do everything, they'll flail around, and it isn't pretty. I think we're kind of at that stage right now that that's what he's doing. There is an ultimate crash, and it'll be a glorious one. I'm looking forward to it, but this is a dangerous time watching him. Um, Eric says, did you see his comments about Tepe and Bezalel sugar boats? Apparently, he was talking about an 81-year-old donor who has money in sugar. He lost it. The dementia is getting worse by the minute. Yeah, I heard him talking about Pepe. He's trying to appear sharp. Yeah, I know Pepe. He's my buddy. I'm going to do that. Did you see the other thing he did? He was talking about Neil Dunn, a representative. I believe he's from Massachusetts. He's a Republican. And Donald Trump wanted to get across how much power he has and how popular he is. And apparently Neil Dunn, 73-year-old guy, former doctor, is now a representative. Apparently he has some kind of terminal disease, and he's not going to make it. Now, it was known that he was sick, but nobody publicly announced that he was terminal and was going to die. His Donald Trump couldn't help himself. Says Neil Dunn, love you, Dunn. He's always backed me, which is true. But I understand he's got a terminal illness. Yeah, he probably won't make it till June. Mike Johnson says, well, I don't know that that was public, but yeah. And he says, Neil, I'm sad for you and what you're going through and such. And I'm also sad for me because I need your vote. What a tactless motherfucker, huh? Let's see here. Republican idiot who suggested to use nukes to carve out a canal away from the Strait of Hormuz. Somebody really do that. Somebody really suggest use nukes to get a workaround to the Strait of Hormuz. Uh, uh, and my mic dropped. Jesus Christ. Let's try something else. Can you hear me now? TJ the plumber, you got to answer me. Okay, you should be able to hear me now. Got a different mic in here. Jesus Christ. Yeah, what a horrible thing to disclose about Neil Dunn. Let me know if this is working better. I hope it's working better, for fuck's sake. Um, yeah, he exposed this poor guy, his terminal illness, his family. It's absolutely ridiculous. Analytical Iowan says, wonder of the June disclosure about Neil Dunn is actually a confession about his own health. Yeah, it could be. It could be. It could very well be that it is a confession. He seems to do that. Whenever something's concerning him or involving him, he always tries to put off on somebody else. Oh, Neil's dying, but I'm good. Yeah, you're not good, Donnie. You're not good. I was using an old mic, and I wasn't sure if it was working right or what, but apparently it's intermittent. That fucker's going in the trash can. Anyway, um, and and Marie says, "Can hear you. Thank you, Spacer. I heard you before. You just sounded in echoes. Yeah, I don't know. Fucking microphones. All right. Due to Trump not thinking this war through, he has taken munitions and forces from South Korea, and that has North Korea testing missiles, shooting them towards Japan. Yeah, see, that's the thing about this is when you do something like this, it has a domino effect, you know? He was surprised that Iran started bombing other countries. Really? I wasn't surprised by that, and I'm a dumbass sitting in my living room. Um, he was surprised that he went as far as trying closing the Strait of Hormuz. Again, not a big surprise. What do you think they're gonna fucking do? James says he doesn't want his medical condition, but he discloses somebody else's. Yeah, exactly. You know, everything's secretive about Donald Trump's health, but he's happy to expose somebody else. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't really give a shit about this guy. I read up on this guy. This guy supports NRA, supports semi-automatic weapons. Um, he's been one of the bad ones. I mean, I don't wish death on anybody, but like Old Soul says, I do enjoy looking forward to a good obituary now and again. Um, yeah, Trucker T says he has the honor of taking Cuba. Donald Trump says that. And they said, what are you going to do with it? Well, I could set him free or I could just take it. I could do either one. Well, I'm going to be interested to see if he actually does that. Maybe you ought to wrap up the war in Iran, like you said you have, and then maybe you can focus on Cuba. There's got to come a point when the Republicans finally say, look, man, we're tired of the bullshit. You need to stop or you're got to go. But apparently the Republicans haven't had enough as yet. Spacer 7567 says Trump took those troops out of Asia, China, and North Korea are saber rattling again. And with Trump's downing mind, I fear his next blunder will be bomb Beijing or something like it. Yeah. You would hope the military would stop this if it were possible. Um, but I don't have a lot of confidence in this cabinet. They're as dumb and ridiculous as Donald Trump is. Will says Stephen Miller stated the federal deficit is caused by immigrants. Eliminate the brown people and eliminate the debt. I think and at the same time, he said we got to bring immigrants back for the farmers. You can't keep the fuckers straight. Brent says, so this idiot, to avoid the inevitable e-files, he's talking about starting shit with Cuba. Well, yeah, I mean, Donald Trump's in kind of the same situation as Benjamin Netanyahu, assuming Benny's still alive. We don't know that for sure. But Benjamin Netanyahu needed a war to stay in power. That's why when he committed genocide in the Gaza Strip, he killed as many people as he did. He needed another war, so that's why we have Iran. Without a war, Benjamin Netanyahu would be kicked out from his situation and probably sent to jail. And I'm thinking Donald Trump thinks he needs a war in order to maintain power. He'd be wrong about that. What we need is Republicans to stand up and say, look, we've had a fucking enough. Let's get rid of this motherfucker. At least up until the time that we get the power at the midterms. But the midterms are still 8 months away, and them taking their seats is January of 27. We got to get this fucking thing fixed before then. He was warned about Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz, and he knew better. You know, that's interesting, Erica, that you bring that up. That was another story that came out. I'd heard that too. He was going to bomb Iran. Raisin Cain, the general that Donald Trump always talks about, said, yeah, you don't want to do this. This is a fucked up idea. That's not going to work. He says, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. So he does it. It gets fucked up. He gets painted into a corner. Now he doesn't know what to do. But I don't know if you heard him at his press conference where he was talking about Neil Dunn and all that stuff. But he went off on a tangent of how he's predicted all these things. The funniest thing he said, well, it's not the funniest thing, but it's one of the funny things he said was that, yeah, you know, them closing the Strait of Hormuz, I knew they were going to do that. I knew they were going to do that. I predicted that. By the way, I predicted Osama bin Laden bombing the World Trade Center too. It's in my book. You got to read it. Now, if you read the passage in the book, it's some reference to the Middle East and somebody, but it's not a prediction. Donald Trump loves to take credit for shit, even when he doesn't deserve credit, which is usually the case. Will says Cuba will become Trump land. Who cares? I mean, I don't see what the advantage is to taking over a country like Cuba. Doesn't make any fucking sense. What's he going to do with it? The only thing I could imagine that he would do with it is make it some safe haven, tax, or legal haven. You know, back in the 50s and the 60s, mafia pretty much ran Cuba. They had casinos and all kinds of stuff till Castro came in and kicked them all out. Maybe he wants to give them back to the mafia or the criminals. Who the fuck knows? Cuban president is coming to America to negotiate regime change. You know, we we keep hearing about regime change, and I don't care about other countries. We could use a fucking regime change. If Trump takes Cuba, he will get giddy about taking another sovereign country, and we will get another Greenland situation again, another round of Canada getting called the 51st state. Yeah, you know, I think he's pretty delusional. I think he wants to be considered this great president and this great conqueror, a la, you know, the mustache guy or Vladimir Putin. It's not working. He's not doing too well with it. Thankfully, he's an idiot, so he won't be successful. Anne Marie, what hold does he have over Republicans? They'll be damned for all of history for allowing this to happen. Why do they let this happen? Have they been the one that venal and corrupted? That's the question I've always had, is that, when he got elected, I thought, well, he'd do a few things and then the Republicans would shut him down and straighten him out and kick him out or whatever. But they haven't done that. And to me, that's surprising. And I think part of it has to do, they are seeing their expiration date coming due. In 2028, we are going to have mostly millennials and Gen Zs as the majority part of the voting bloc. And they know at that point they're done as a party. The millennials and Gen Zs, most of them anyway, will not vote for a Republican, let alone Donald Trump. So it's almost like this is a smash and grab. We know we're going to get kicked out, so we're going to just do everything we can, try to pull something out of our asses so that maybe we can regain popularity and power. I know Donald Trump is doing that. Every time he does something like attack Iran, he thinks, okay, this is going to make me popular. And it doesn't. Then he fucks that up. Problem is with this one, with the attacking Iran, it's not just embarrassment within the country. It's embarrassment and criminality internationally. It's not just this country that has a problem with it. Will says the press conference was proof of dementia. Yeah, it absolutely was. I mean, he's sitting there, he's talking about Neil Dunn and all the other shit he's talking about. You saw Susie Weil kind of rolling her eyes and Mike Johnson losing his shit because Donald Trump is revealing one of the House members to have a terminal disease and he's going to be gone by June. Fuck. Yeah. And then we heard the Susie Wiles now has breast cancer and she is going to continue working, but by Zoom or something. She's going to be remote. And I'm a little concerned about that. Now, hear me out on this. Susie Wiles has a lot of respect and control in the White House. And I know there's a lot of crazy things going on within the White House, things we could never imagine. But she may have been the only adult in the White House. And people will say, well, she didn't do a very good job because all the crazy stuff is happening. I'm saying if she's not there, maybe it gets crazier fucking yet. They have no adults in the administration. Susie Wiles is the closest thing. And maybe this is her holding them back. Maybe it gets crazier if she's not around. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Janice says, you must have heard all those things from Melania. She says she's a visionary. I heard that. Motherfucker, this woman has lied her way into this country. First of all, we're now finding out more likely than not that Jeffrey Epstein introduced Melania to Donald Trump. Now, Melania is from Eastern Europe, where a lot of these young girls, these underage girls came for the Epstein situation. He introduces her to Donnie Trump. Donnie Trump marries her. He's got to get her passage into this country. So they say, well, she's a supermodel, which she wasn't. There's no portfolio that suggests she was ever a supermodel. And then they said, well, she's a genius. She just married Donald Trump. How big a fucking genius could she be? And now she says she's a visionary. I don't think she understands what the word means or how arrogant that sounds. It has to be a language problem because that's just stupid. Or maybe she's an obnoxious, narcissistic piece of shit like Donald Trump. That wouldn't surprise me in the least. Will says deport Cubans to the new Cuba. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Michael says, think of all the cool classic cars we'll get if we take over Cuba. Yeah, that's their thing. For the longest time, they couldn't get cars, so they had these 50s era cars, and they just kept fixing them and customizing them. And they got some beautiful cars down there from the 50s. You're absolutely right. Spacer says Iran probably would have potentially had reforms because of the issues with the varying disagreeing diverse people that live there. People were seeming like they wanted reforms. We saw the protests against the government, but after Trump did this, the Iranians have dug in. The people who were thinking about reform have had issue to unite again. Yeah, Donald Trump thought he was going to walk in there as the conquering hero. And what he has to understand is the people of Iran, Muslim folks, those people of Islam, they don't like America, and they have good reason not to like America. Donald Trump's not going to go in there and be a conquering hero. First thing he said after he bombed him the first day, he said, okay, now you guys go get the regime change. He really believed, but by putting some bombs down in Iran, that the people would rise up and do all the work for him. That's so prototypical Donald Trump. Eric says after he is gone, we need to put more safeguards in place to prevent another dementia patient from becoming. Maybe Dems should actually finally acknowledge the ICC. You're absolutely right. ICC is International Criminal Court, The Hague, and all that stuff. We talk about the prospect of having some international crimes being committed, but this country doesn't recognize the ICC, so I don't know that they can get anybody out of the country that might be indicted by the ICC. I'm not sure how that all works. I doubt it. Judy says, will the SAVE Act go through? I don't think it will. Part of me wants them to get rid of the filibuster and put it through, because in 9-10 months, Democrats will have control of the House and the Senate. I don't think it's going to affect the election as much as they think it will, because states run the elections. They get the first choice in how the elections run. So if all the red states want to do that and limit their own fucking people from voting, good for them. Spacer says the SAVE Act is a non-starter. It won't make it through, and the Republicans know it. Yeah, I think everybody knows it. They're trying to play all these games just to appease Donald Trump, but it's not going to go through. I mean, it would be political suicide for the Republicans to allow it to go through. And let's be honest, in the Senate, in order for it to pass, you're going to need at least 7 Democrats to vote for it, 7, 8. And that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. It is a non-starter, and I'll be surprised if they even put it up for a vote. Maybe they will put it up for a vote just to shut Donald Trump's mouth, but it's not going to pass. RFK Jr. is the next to go after the bird-legged hoe. I like that. Yeah, RFK has some problems. Appeals court today said that his new classifications for required vaccinations for kids is wrong. They kicked that out. He lost that one. They keep losing. The media is now recognizing the Senate is in play, or maybe even locked in for the Democrats. Texas, Alaska, Iowa, Ohio, North Carolina, and Maine are now toss-ups, or at least considered to be so. Right after the election, thinking about 2026, everybody said, well, the House is going to go Democrat for sure. I agree with that, probably in a big way. And I said, but the Senate might be too. Now, it wasn't that I was psychically connected that I thought it would go, but I knew a lot of bad shit would happen between the 2024 election and the 2026 election. And if it was bad enough, it could turn the tide in the Senate. And it does appear, though, as though it is. I hope so. Because if after the election in 2026, November 2026, Donald Trump loses the House and the Senate, he is going to be absolutely fucking livid. And he's going to be upset, and he's going to be mad, and he's going to be crying and whining. But the important thing of it is, once we get the House, at least if we just get the House, but if we get the House and Senate, his presidency isn't worth shit. He can do nothing. Michael says, Analytical Iowan, what you said about preventing another dementia patient running the government is spot on. We actually have to change the whole system. There's way too many clowns in the House and Senate that are not are not or haven't the intellectual capability to make decisions on the future of this country. I think we need to revamp the whole system. I do too. I've said this before. We need to eradicate as many Republicans as we can. Even the ones that are seemingly normal, they were still part of this whole process to put Donald Trump where he is. When it was quieter and they were just voting with him, they were helpful in getting us to this place. So if they want to be normal now and help us now, cool, we'll take your help. Still don't trust you, motherfucker, and you still need to go. Democrats are the same situation. We got some problematic people in the Democratic Party, too. We've got to get the Republicans cleared out, and then we got to put our focus on the Democrats and pick out those folks that should not be there. TJ says they don't like America because we've been fucking with them for 70 years. I think you're talking about Iran. It's hard for Trump to get allied support from former allies. The hardest to get support from will be the EU, with Trump lifting sanctions on Russian oil. Yeah, that's typical of narcissists too. They don't have a lot of empathy. They don't care what other people think, and it's typical for somebody to abuse somebody, a narcissist to abuse somebody, and then come back and just assume they'll be friends again. You see it a lot with narcissists in domestic abuse, and the wife won't press charges and will forgive him every time. That's what the Republicans basically have done with Donald Trump. He's had so many failures, so many fuck-ups, and they just let him pass. And that's why it gets worse and worse. But we're getting to the point where they can't take it anymore, and it's too damaging, and they're going to lose their jobs. So we'll see. Dirty Diaper Donnie Trump is going to self-destruct in November. Well, I hope it's before then. We need him to come crashing down as soon as possible. And looking at him and listening to him, I don't know how much longer he can hold out. He's hanging by a fucking thread. Spacer says we can also be sure Trump can't get a Supreme Court justice through. I've been very worried about the health of Sotomayor and Kagan. They need to step down after 2028. Absolutely. Well, you got to understand, too, at some point between now and the election in November, we could see Alito and the other guy, Clarence Thomas, step down, too, so Donald Trump could replace him. Hopefully they're arrogant enough to stick it out past the 2026 election, because then we can just shut them down. James says Trump will not be in the office for the midterm elections. That's distinctly possible. That's distinctly possible. And one of the things that might tell us that something's going on is this recent leak that we heard where J.D. Vance was saying, "Oh, I was skeptical about the war in Iran. I didn't really like that idea." Now, he wouldn't contradict Donald Trump unless there was something going on. They're going to try to put him in a situation when they kick Donald Trump out or Donald Trump keels over choking on a Big Mac, that he's the kinder, gentler, smarter choice. And now we can pay attention to him, and he can make all the best choices for this country. Trouble with JD is nobody likes him. Democrats certainly don't like him. Republicans have no respect for him. So he's going to be a weak-ass president at best. He's going to be a placeholder until 2028. If the orange blob is impeached again this time, we'll be dragging him out of the office. Well, that's assuming the Senate convicts him. Now, you need like 67 votes in the Senate to convict him. At that point, even if we have the majority in the Senate, we probably won't have 67. But even if we have the majority, there may be people at this point on the Republican side that have had enough. And once they impeach him quickly, they can get him out the door. And when he has no power, there's not much he can do. Spacer 7567 says, I think Trump won't make it to June. Yeah, we should have a bet. Who goes first, Donald Trump or Neil Dunn? Again, Neil Dunn is this representative who's got terminal illness that Donald Trump outed. People say you shouldn't talk badly about somebody who's terminally ill. Neil Dunn is a fucking Trump humper. He's voted against this country many times. I don't wish him dead, but I'm not going to cry. The stress will get to Trump before year's end. Yeah, you can tell it's already getting to him. I mean, when he goes to the point where he's making threats against the rest of the world if they don't help him with this Iran thing. And then later in the day, he says, we don't need anybody's help. You're begging for help now. Now you say you don't need any help. Motherfucker's confused. He doesn't know what he's talking about. We flip Alito and Thomas if they die or step down after 2028. The majority is ours. Yeah, that's true. But what I'm saying is if Alito and Clarence Thomas quit before the November elections, then Donald Trump can replace them with similarly criminal and younger people. And that's one of the things I'm hoping we don't get to. It's mathematically impossible to get to 67 Dems in the Senate. Yeah, I'm guessing that's true. But as I said, what I could imagine is that by that time, with the economy going to hell, the oil going through the roof, the Epstein files, all this shit, there may be some Republicans that said, hell, here's our chance to get rid of this dumb motherfucker and do it. James says the Iran thing will be the nail in the coffin. And you know, I don't necessarily disagree with you. This is a big one. People going to war, people getting killed, the U.S. bombing schoolhouses, killing 175 children. There's a lot of bad shit happening here, and it's impossible for him to spin. Even the people who voted for him aren't feeling this war at all. And then when it affects oil prices and all this stuff, you might be right, James. This may be the thing that gets him. And people will think that if this gets him, then we'll all forget about the Epstein files. That's not the case. I think what happens when Donald Trump is gone, then the floodgates open. He's there holding it back. He's the one putting the pressure on to make sure that they don't get released. Once he's gone, there's nobody really left to do that in power in Congress or in government. It says something that Chuck Grassley will probably outlive Trump. Yeah, you're probably right. That fucker's 172 years old, and he still looks healthier than Donald Trump. He's creepier. Well, he's not creepier. He's still a loser. But yeah, he might live longer than Donald Trump. The way Trump talks about there be no way NATO allies will help the U.S., all it took was him threatening allies, bullying, and trying to drag them into a war no one wanted. You know, that was the interesting thing he said. I always said we were supposed to be there for the NATO allies, and we were supposed to help them, but they would never help us. Interesting thing is there's something called the Article 5. And an Article 5 is when somebody is attacked that's in NATO, then all the NATO members come together and help out the NATO party that was attacked. Now that Article 5 was only used one time, and that was to help the United States of America after 9/11. So Donald Trump doesn't know his fucking history. Tucker Carlson afraid of getting arrested by the Trump administration. Yeah, that's an interesting one. You know, Tucker and Donnie were great friends for a long time when he was at Fox. Then he got kicked out of Fox, and now he's been talking shit about Donald Trump. And he came on Twitter and said that he believes he's getting arrested. If they were looking at his text messages, what they want to try to get him on is the fact that he was texting with somebody in Iran before the war, and that he's not a registered agent, foreign agent. And fuck, you could pick out anybody on Donald Trump's cabinet and say the very same thing. I'm not sure how to take this with Tucker. Tucker has a lot of money. He has a lot of clout. Even though he's not on Fox News anymore, he still has a lot of fans and viewers and that sort of thing. You wonder sometimes if Tucker isn't relishing in this fact, because if he gets arrested, then his views should blow up. I mean, the same kind of thing with Don Lemon. He got arrested. because of the situation with the church in Minneapolis. And he doesn't seem too worried because it's a bullshit charge. They aren't going to charge him with anything ultimately. Um, but it's going to do wonders for his ratings. Um, Tucker might be afraid. He might be relishing this. I don't know. Um, but I'd love to see Tucker Carlson get arrested. I mean, even though he's kind of on our side in terms of going after Donald Trump, I'll take the help. But if they put that motherfucker in jail, I'm cool with it. I think it's hilarious. Um, Joe Rogan not liking the way Trump handling the country. That's bad news for Donald Trump. That was one of the things he used to get to young people. But now Joe Rogan doesn't like it. Really? It took you this long, Joe? All the other things, the Epstein files, the deportations, putting kids in cages and sending them to detention camps, that wasn't enough. But soon as we went to war with Iran, now you're upset. Um, Again, if you want to help us out, Joe, and get this clown out, cool. But fuck you. I ain't listening to your show and I don't trust you. Spacer, Joe, Tucker, Nick Fuentes, and Candace Owens can go to hell. Yeah. If they want to help to take down Donald Trump, I'll sit back and watch them. But they are creepy, freaky people that that I don't trust. I will never trust. Um, TJ the plumber says, by his own admission, Joe Rogan is a dumb as fuck. Yeah, I've heard Joe Rogan say that. You know, he's just kind of one of these podcast bros. He doesn't really know anything. He's like the guy in the bar. He's like the Joe Trumplefuck down the street. He hears the little bits and the clips and the bites, and he makes his opinion based on what he's heard, not what the facts are. And let's be honest, Joe is just one of these folks that wants to get more views and more followers and make more money. That's what Joe's doing. That's why he's in it, for the money. And I don't have a problem with that. Everybody gets into everything for certain reasons, and if he wants to make money, I mean, his acting career pretty much went to shit. The TV shows he had, like Fear Factor, kind of found their expiration date, so he had to do something right. So he got a podcast, and he had some success with it. So good luck. Go back to talking about aliens and fucking ghosts, and stop worrying about politics, because you've been nothing but a problem in this political scene. Laura Loomer looks like one of those haunted dolls from horror movies that came to life. She's 96% Botox. You know, the funny thing about Laura Loomer is she's not very old. I mean, she's like in her early 30s, and she looks like she's had more Botox and more plastic surgery than, I don't know who, anybody in Hollywood. She's creepy looking, and she's got a weird mentality. She's got some weird ideas. Um, TJ says, I have a problem with that when you spread lies. Yeah. And the thing is with Joe Rogan, I don't know if he knew he was spreading lies. That's one of the problems. Um, TJ says she looks like Jigsaw from the Saw movies. Never saw the Saw movies. Um, but I do remember Jim Croce's song. I think it's, um, what is it? One of the lines in it, he was laying on the floor and he looked like a jigsaw puzzle with a couple of pieces gone. That's kind of appropriate for her. She's weird. She looks like some kind of creature. Actually, she doesn't even look like a woman. Dennis Bertrand, more than Christie. Yeah, now Christie's interesting too. She's gone now, and I don't know if she thinks she's going to be safe now, because she's not. I know that we have Congress now looking at bringing her back and finding her with perjury. She committed perjury in front of Congress, which is a serious thing. You can go to jail for that shit. It'll be interesting to see what and how they do it. But I don't think they're done with Christie. And even if they don't do something now, as soon as the Congress flips over to the Democrats, you can bet they are going to be going after her and a lot of people. MAGA women get awful surgery, and the guys look 20 years older than they are.
Yeah. I literally, even if they're not wearing a red hat or some stupid T-shirt, I can almost pick out a MAGA fuck as I walk down the street. It's they look arrogant, but there's nothing behind their eyes. They're clearly stupid. Do you think Pope Leo will sway the Catholic and Hispanic vote? It could make a huge impact in Texas and Florida. I would hope so. I don't know how much Pope Leo is going to get involved in this. I'm not Catholic. He is from Chicago, and we know he hates Donald Trump. He won't say it outwardly, but he's spoken out against him. If that would be helpful to the Catholics in Florida and Texas, that would be nice. Whether they will do it or not, there's been a lot of situations where we thought people could help out, and then they just drop the ball and they don't. Um, why were they deposing the Dodge boys back in January? You mean Doge boys? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, trying to get it on the record and stuff, and those fucking clowns. They could be my grandkids, they're children. They asked simple questions that they could not answer. They weren't fucking Doge or government employees. They were little ass fucking vandals. That's all the fuck they were. Spacer says, I don't think the Pope will influence politics. The Pope has more integrity than these fake religious people. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's why I'm thinking I don't think the Pope's going to stick his nose into it. Um, he's got enough issues with the Catholic Church. Now, I like this guy. I like this Pope. He seems like a good dude. Um, but let's be honest, the Catholic Church has so much money they could adjust a lot of things and change a lot of things for motherfuckers. But we keep waiting for somebody from the outside to do something to help out to try to deal with Donald Trump, and it never happens. So I'm at a point where I really don't count on anybody except us, meaning the people of this country. Spacer says probably Trump wanted something on those techno losers because they probably found a lot on him within the Epstein files they pulled out. Yeah, there's something to be about that. What is that old mafia thing? They hire somebody to kill somebody, and then after they kill somebody, they kill them so there's no no witness. Sadly, our government under Donald Trump is run a lot like a crime family. I think Donald Trump has always run his businesses, his family, like a crime family. He likes to think of himself as a big tough guy, which he's not. He's a pussy. Um, and we're starting to see it now when all this stuff is getting to him. We need the Epstein files to come back up, in the news so we can start worrying about that now. That may happen sometime soon because um, I understand that there's a subpoena out for Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. They want her to come in to be questioned about the Epstein files, why she hasn't done her legal duty by releasing all the files. That should be an interesting show. It will be behind closed doors, which is probably better because then she won't feel so compelled to put on a show and get in everybody's faces. She is culpable for perjury too, so she's either going to have to answer questions um, or plead the fifth. I don't know. Pam Bondi's not a smart woman. Smart enough to think that she's got some problems. I think she's got some problems. I think she's worried about possible investigations and prosecution after she's out of office, and that's distinctly possible. But Trump is the John Gotti of the this situation. Flaps his lips too much. Um, yeah, he's kind of a show off. He's kind of high profile, like John Gotti. And John Gotti wasn't the most brilliant man in the world, but he was still smarter than. Um, did Pam ever work for Epstein? Pam Bondi. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I need to check into that. Here's what we do know about Pam Bondi. When Jeffrey Epstein was on trial down in Florida and he got the sweetheart deal, guess who was the attorney general in Florida? That was Pam Bondi. I think Pam Bondi's been connected to Epstein and Donald Trump for some time, even before she was Attorney General. So it wouldn't surprise me if she was in the mix somehow. And maybe that's part of the reason why she's not willing to release some of the files, because it might implicate herself. Cheryl says, I'm glad you do these open discussions. It's so helpful listening to other voices. Yeah, yeah, it is. And that's why I like hearing from folks on the other end too, the questions, the comments, perceptions. There's a lot of people who know a lot of things, and it's not just me that has all the answers. There are plenty of people out here, people like TJ and Trucker T and Vincent Johnny and Spacer and all you folks that come in. You all have some insights that I don't necessarily have, so it's valuable to have you there. Tellerico has a lot going against him in the Texas Senate race. He will need the black vote and the leftist votes. Yeah, he will. And it's hard to say what's going to happen in Texas. But I got to tell you, the Republican sides of things getting a little fucking messy. We got John Cornyn, who's the sitting senator, who seems scared to death. Paxton, who is a criminal at the level of Donald Trump. They still need their runoff. We still don't know who the Republican candidate is. Donald Trump has claimed that he was going to endorse one of them, but he stopped. He hasn't done it yet. And I have a feeling he's not going to do it until after the primary. Now, these two thought that if one of them could get the endorsement, that it might help them in the primary. I personally don't think a Donald Trump endorsement is all that valuable anymore. I mean, given all that's going on and all the failures that are happening, the oil prices, the economy, is it really good to be endorsed by a dipshit? I don't know. Maybe the Republicans still think it is. Trucker T says the military is really upset about the 6 that were killed on that refueling mission. The dam is starting to break. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think one of the reasons they're upset about it, the reason this happened, this crash, is more about incompetence than anything. It wasn't about war at all. It was about incompetence, and we've got incompetence running um, rampant in the military. And you would hope the military people, the rank and file, would be getting upset about this about now. You would hope that to be the case. But, who knows? Who knows? Trucker T says his endorsement isn't worth bear shit. I would have to agree, but I'm not sure the Republicans agree with you. They'll fuck around till they find out. They'll get his endorsement and still lose, and then they'll say, oh my God, what happened? Spacer says John Cornyn is surely working for it. Yeah, John Cornyn is working hard. He seems terrified. He's been pretty locked in as a senator in Texas, and some clown like Paxton might come in and unseat him as the nominee. Oh, that would fucking kill him. And then if Tallarico actually wins, which is distinctly possible, he's got a lot going against him. They're going to attack him. There's 2 things he doesn't have going against him that Jasmine Crockett had. He's white and he's a male. Unfortunately, I would love to have seen Jasmine Crockett be the nominee. But I'm fine with Tallarico too. I just think Jasmine Crockett is more of a fighter and more the kind of personality we need in Congress, in the Senate now. We're playing a different game. This isn't politics of old. This is a fucking street fight, and we need some street fighters. Trucker T says Susie Wiles says she has breast cancer today. Apparently it's early, and she's going to get treatment right away, and she's going to still work as the chief of staff, but do it remotely by Zoom or something like that. And I was saying, Trucker T, she seems like the only adult in the room in the White House. So with her out of the White House, that might make things even crazier at the White House than we've seen it so far. It's funny. I saw some video, a short video at the White House, and they were showing a picture of Stephen Miller. Wow, that is a creepy motherfucker. I mean, the video they showed almost made him look like a lizard person. And if there are lizard people, he probably is one of them. He fits the bill perfectly. Spacer says, I think Graham Plantner will be loud voice, but people apparently still worry he will be a second Fetterman. Yeah, Fetterman's a whole different story, and I know what you're saying about Plantner being another Fetterman, maybe being a plant of sorts. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if we can get the Republican out of there, and if Plattner is bad, we can deal with it after the fact. I mean, that's the thing. We can't fix all the problems and address every possible scenario. We just have to do the best we can to put the fire out, and then we can start working on rebuilding and figuring things out. Um, Vincent Johnny says Canada is lucky we got Carney. If we had Pierre Poilievre, we would have been rolled over by the U.S. You're absolutely right. And I have a lot of respect for Carney for standing up to Donald Trump. A lot of countries don't do that. I think more are starting to now. This whole thing about him begging people to come and help in the war, and they're going, yeah, now we're good. We're good. So people are finally starting to stand up to Donald Trump. And when that happens, Donald Trump crashes. Spacer says Mexico has Sheinbaum. Yeah, I think she's a great leader. She's a great president. She's a tough lady. She's a smart lady. Donald Trump can't even sit in the same room with her without being made to look like a fool. Let's see here. Yeah, we're getting in the later stages here. We'll go a few more minutes and we'll wrap things up. Juan says Collins is concerned. Yeah, Collins, Susan Collins in Maine. She's had that Senate seat for a while. She talks a good game, but always votes with Donald Trump. We got to get her the fuck out of there. She's too old too. Hopefully Plattner can beat her. Um, the other Democratic candidate, I can't remember her name, 77 years old. She's not bad, but she's a little too old to be doing this. Spacer says, and then I'll have Spain, and Spain has Sanchez, who is pushing back. I don't know a lot about Sanchez. I'll have to look into that. Trucker T says, I heard 40 nations or maybe countries want to stop trade with us. Yeah, a bunch of countries. I think it was 40 countries that got together and said, yeah, we need to stop, just isolate this motherfucker and do no trade at all. We got tariffs, then we don't have tariffs, and then we got higher tariffs. You can't cut a deal with Donald Trump because he can't be held to his word. He always lies. He's always bullshitting around. But as I understand it, there are like 40 countries that are talking about just shutting everything off to America. And I will tell you this, that is going to have a significant effect on our economy. It's going to be a problem, yet another problem that Donald Trump is going to try to have to divert or spin and won't be successful with them. Eric says, the 77-year-old lady out in Maine, that is Janet Mills. Yeah, you're right. Janet Mills. And I've heard her talk, and she's not terrible, but she seems old school politics, and we really need to get away from that as much as we can. The old school politics is outdated now. We need somebody that's going to be in there and be tough and fight and make some changes in our government after we're finally clear of what's going on here. TJ the plumber says, Dirty Sanchez. Fuck you. Grow up, TJ. I thought you were sick, man. Get some sleep. Is Japan finding out what happens when they get too close to Trump? Prime Minister Takaichi is now contending with the rising cost in Japan because of what Trump is doing with the world economy. Yeah, I think a lot of people are finding out, fucking around and finding out. It's interesting. There was a Donald Trump wants all these other nations to help out to keep the Strait of Hormuz open. Because it's going to affect you just as much or more than us. Well, there was something put out in the press where I think Ron says, listen, anybody who needs to go through the Strait of Hormuz can, just not Israel and the United States. That's going to fuck Donald Trump up. He's trying to think that pressure on all these other countries, they're going to get off their couches and help. But now Iran is saying, no, no, all you people can come through, just not Donnie and Bibi. You two fuckers can stay where you are. You don't get to come through. And that may be yet another knife in the back to Donald Trump. How are you going to get people to help you if they're not being affected at all? They certainly don't want to get into another fucked up war in the Middle East. Just want to remind folks, yeah, Spacer says, where is BB? I have no love for BB. I think Israel and America are in similar situations. Israeli people, I don't know anything about Israeli people. They may be good people. Their problem is they've got a government, a leader that is a criminal, an animal. And I can say that because we have the same situation in this country. People in America aren't bad people, but we got a government that's fucking horrible and causing problems not only for this country, but worldwide. Juan says Chinese ships can go through. Yeah, Donnie wants help from China. And now China could be a formidable thing because they get a lot of oil from Iran. And if it was shut down and nothing got through, then China would get pissed off and maybe they might help. But now that they've said, China can go through, not Israel, not America, that puts Donald Trump in a bad situation. These people he wanted to side with us don't care anymore because they're fine. Spacer says they used AI to show a press conference of BB. It wasn't a press conference, really. It was him in a coffee shop, and I don't know where the fuck he's supposed to be. Some people say he was in Germany. Some people say he was in Tel Aviv. But the thing about it is we knew that they bombed the piss out of Bibi Netanyahu's compound. We know that his brother died, allegedly. That's what we're hearing. Um, and could Bibi Netanyahu be dead? Yeah, hell yeah, he could be dead. Wouldn't cry about it because I think he is a scourge on this world. But whether he is or not, the fact that we haven't seen him in 10 days, that's troubling. And that video, I'm convinced AI is interesting. AI is cool. But when it comes to videos, I think I can tell the difference between a real video and an AI video. And that looked very much AI. The quality of it was too diminished. If you're taking a video of a leader of a country, and you're even doing it with a phone, an Android or an Apple, the video that you would take looks way better than what was there. This video looked like it had been messed with. It looked like it could be AI, and not a very good AI at that. Personally, I think it's AI. Whether BB's dead or not, I don't know, but I'll keep my fingers crossed and hope that he is, and hope that Donnie joins him sometime soon. China can get oil from Russia, Nord Stream pipeline, and yeah, I know they get a lot of oil from Iran. So if they can get the passage in the Strait of Hormuz, they're cool. There is, like you say, oil coming out of Russia that is helpful to them too. Donald Trump always thinks we're the biggest, baddest motherfuckers in the world, and everybody's going to cower when we raise our voices. And maybe that was true to a certain extent, but now that all's been exposed and Donald Trump has been revealed as a fool and an idiot and a criminal, nobody has any respect for him anymore. No countries. All these people he thinks are our allies don't like the motherfucker because of what they've done, what he's done to them, the money he's cost, the problems he's caused. So Donald Trump isn't the toughest guy out there anymore. Nobody's afraid of them because they figure, if they were one on one with America, they'd have a problem. But they got the entire EU, Scandinavian countries, China, Middle Eastern countries that don't like America. If you've got all of them pushing back on us, then Donald Trump has a problem, and that's where we're at right now. Spacer says, I can see China saying, yeah, we will talk to Iran to open up Hormuz again. We want something in return. Let us invade Taiwan. Yeah. You know what? If I was China, I wouldn't worry about invading Taiwan. Donald Trump isn't going to do jack shit. Look, Russia going into Ukraine. He isn't helping out for fuck all. There are reports of ships off Taiwan coast. Honestly, I'm not surprised. This would be the time to do it when everybody's focused on the Middle East. They go into Taiwan, take it over. And at this point, people always say we got this trouble in this part of the world, this trouble in this part of the world. I'd like to worry about it. I wish I had the luxury of worrying about it. But we got so much shit in this country going on we need to fix before we can ever think about helping somebody else out. We need to fix this shit. We need, Donald Trump out, the Republicans out, and start back. And what's important people have to understand is once we do get in that position where we can start to fix things, don't get impatient. Don't think that just because we have the power now that we'll be able to flip it around real quickly. That's not the way it works. We aren't going to repair relationships with other countries in a couple of days. Could take years. We aren't going to fix the economic problems that Donald Trump caused right away. It'll all take time. So it's going to be important for people. Once we get the Democrats in, you got to be a little patient. We got to stay on them. We got to keep our thumbs on their necks, but it's going to take time to fix all this stuff. Um, Taiwan is a major exporter of semiconductors for technology, phones, laptops, etc. Trump is back where he started. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, Donald Trump never has a plan for anything. He just goes off half-cocked, regardless of what um, the suggestions are from people that are more intelligent. He just does whatever the things he comes up with. This Cuba thing is a good example. What possible reason could there be for going into Cuba? What's to gain? No doubt there's something Donald Trump can profit from with this taking over Cuba. We'll see if he even does it. But at this point, I think he needs to focus on what's going on with Iran, get that thing finished up. I know he says that he's won and they're going to surrender, but we also know Iran has said that's bullshit. We're not. We're going to fight this out. Some people think, what's going to happen? And will Donald Trump just back out of it and claim win? Could do that. That's possible. But if he does that, that kind of leaves Israel's twisting in the wind. And is Donald Trump willing to do that? And if he does do that, what does that precedent set? Donald Trump's caught. He's in there, and he's going to have a hard time figuring out how to get out of it. If the Republicans want to complain about how Biden got out of Afghanistan, wait till you see this fucking shit show. The guy who ran his van into the synagogue in Michigan was a brother of Lebanon Hezbollah commander. Yeah. You're going to see more stuff like this. You're going to see more agitation between the Muslims and or Islam and the Jewish folks. We're at a point in this country where we really don't have national security now with the likes of Pete Hegseth and everybody else. There is no national security, and we pissed off the entirety of the Middle East. So that puts us in a bad situation and opened up to some potential terrorists. Nobody's looking deeper into Lutnick's story. He itemized the children that were with him on the family vacation. Has anyone checked out the guests that were with him? Who itemizes ages of children in your company to a known pedophile? That's a good point. I think Lutnick is going to testify too. I think he's agreed to be in a hearing and testify. That dumb motherfucker. I'm looking forward to seeing him talk because he's an idiot. Oh, never went there. Oh, I guess I was there, but only for an hour. Oh, here's some pictures. Maybe I was there longer and not with my family. Guy's a dope. Yeah, it was interesting that he specified that he had his kids with him and their nanny, assuming the nanny was of age. But, a lot of people put a lot of weight into the trafficking of underage girls. I suspect there's some boys involved here, and we're just not hearing as much about it. But it wasn't just underage kids, it was young women that were over 18. There was a lot of trafficking, a lot of abuse, a lot of violence with concerns to this, and people need to fucking pay the price. They're down in New Mexico now doing an investigation, but it's 20 years after the fact. A Trump humper Epstein buddy bought the place, and they started digging things up, so God knows if there's anything left there to find. A little late now. We could have stood to have the DOJ during Trump's administration, or the Biden administration for that matter, to be looking into this before they could have gotten rid of all the evidence. I'm not saying they did, but if it were me and I had $1 billion, I'd probably get rid of the evidence if I owned the property now. All right, coming to the end here, we're going to wrap things up for the Substack Live and the Rational Boomer podcast. I want to thank you all for participating. I tell you this every time, and I mean it. When you show up like you do, you ask the questions, make the comments, it makes things so much easier for me. And I'm a lazy bastard, so I'm all about making things easier for me. But I think it makes the show more interesting when more people have some input. So thank you for joining me tonight. For those of you listening, thank you for taking the time. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.